Yeah, record this. All right, what's up, guys? For anybody watching this, I'm here with my man Chuck. Chuck's been a client, several times in the past. And this is really just to provide you guys more perspective on like what it looks like going through the program. Obviously, Chuck here, his like biggest wins and results, and just give you guys more clarity to see if this is something actually that you want to potentially consider in the future. So with that said, Chuck, welcome. How about you give everybody watching this just a little bit of like, who you are, and then what really led you to me and ultimately like coming into the program first off.
Yeah, so we'll go back, a little bit of a brief history. Dave and I first met at the Coliseum Gym in Columbia, Maryland. We're probably going back 10 years, I guess, Dave, somewhere in that neighborhood. At that point, I was pretty stubborn and thought I, knew everything or knew more than I actually did. I was a former, college athlete, so I've always worked out and trained and, stayed in that arena for a period of time. But, I had hit a point in my life where I had plateaued, across the board. I was in my mid-30s at that point. And, I David trained some colleagues of mine and, talked to them and, they gave me some good feedback and, finally reached out to Dave. And I think for me, when Dave and I started working together, I'd hit a point where I was, ready to commit. And, I think my first message to Dave was like, look, I'm going all in, and really just put everything to the side and just opened my mind and said, look, I'm going to learn and listen and get what I can get out of this.
Yeah.
And, so that's how our, relationship started. And, I think we worked together for more than a couple of years straight, with training and also diet and nutrition and supplementation and understanding, all the benefits. And, and then from there, took some time off and kind of reevaluated my goals. And, Dave and I connected again, over the last year. And, being in my 40s now, my goals are a little bit different. And, part of what I wanted to work on at that point is really just feeling good, correcting some postural issues from sitting in front of a desk all day, every day. And so we've been able to mold things based on, again, where I'm at in my life and, the goals that I have. So kind of that's the brief history there.
Yeah. Awesome. So what were like, even then, like when we first worked together and then, now like in the last year, what were the biggest like results for you, like in ROI, like that you saw?
Well, I would say the biggest thing for me, again, is really just how I feel,
Okay.
and as general as that sound, once you get everything working together, everything improves. I never thought about sleep early on, when I was in my mid-30s, but, just from sleep, stress control, and then obviously there's the byproduct of, the aesthetics and, how you look and feel physically. So, it's been a kind of a combo effect, and that's, I think that's what most people are after in the beginning. Right.
Sure.
But for me, as it progressed, it was more about, the other things, in terms of, the stress control was a big thing for me.
Yeah. Getting abs and stuff. It's like, I always tell clients, if that's all it was, I would have like probably quit a long time ago. Right. Cause like, you get to that point and like, you're able to maintain that over a period of time. It's like, all right, cool. Right. Like that's just a small blip in the radar, right? Of the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So like, what do you feel like if you had to pick like one or two things, like the most valuable overall, like it kind of goes with the last question, but overall, like what do you feel?
I think just the education piece.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely number one, because, it's, whether it be training, nutrition, everything out there is so cookie cutter. And everybody is different. Everybody's body is different, how they react to certain things, and I think
For sure.
one of the things that I'll share is, before I started working with you, I had the cliche notion that carbs are bad. But then after, you and I started working together, it's like my body really responds well to carbs. So,
Yeah.
I need them to feel good and be able to function on a daily basis at a high level. So, I think that's number one. But the second thing is, I'm a big believer in investing, right? And if you spend money on something, your accountability level is going to increase regardless. So just having that, that accountability, knowing that, all right, well, this is my goal and somebody's going to hold me accountable to that goal is also, pretty valuable if it's done the right way.
Yeah.
And that's,
I think you were eating at one point too. Like, I mean, you're eating like close to 400 carbs.
at least, yeah.
And you were still pretty lean. I mean, you were still freaking like super lean. So it's like, but just understand that like, even if you're eating that much, but you're really lean, like your body is just churning through that food. And it's like, you're still like hungry, So it's like maintaining this super low level of like Instagram looking body fat isn't really actually real. It's like, you probably want to be 2 or 3% higher than that and be able to maintain. Yeah.
Correct.
No. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So like, the last thing I just want to ask is like, if you had any like recommendations or advice for anybody that's like watching this or, might be watching this later, like what would that look like for them?
I would say invest.
Yeah.
And as, it's just, at least for me, it's, if you invest in the knowledge and learning, I mean, it's just, when you get to a place where you say, all right, well, I'm going to open my mind and I am going to learn, it's no different than any other aspect of life. I feel like if you invest and you educate yourself, you're going to see results. I think too many times, it's so easy to pull up a, YouTube channel or something right now and say, hey, let's do this. But there's so much more to it, than that, it's just, it's not going to work.
You don't know how many, like, I mean, in my past, I mean, I bought so many, like, even like $30 ebook. And like, I would be like, oh, like 2 or 3 days of like reading it. And then like, I would just forget about it.
Right.
Because it was like, just like, I mean, it's $30, right? It's like your Netflix subscription. It's like 10, you don't even look at your, like, that account. It's just like goes, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So that's huge. Anything else you want to add?
No, and I just think, it's like once you get this right, you can be so much more productive in every other aspect of life. And a lot of that could be, in your career and in work and, what is that going to lead to, in terms of long-term, benefits. So, I think that's the biggest piece where, I was closed-minded in the beginning, thinking that I knew it all. I was like, I'm not going to spend that money. I know enough. And the only thing I knew was what I was taught in college, which is 25 years ago. So, that stuff's still outdated. So it's just an opportunity to learn and invest.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And just being able to like handle stress better at home and at work and how your mood is around like your family and your wife and all that stuff as well. So no, man, I appreciate your time today. This has been super helpful. And for anybody watching this, there might be like somewhere around this video, you can just drop like a hashtag core mail, or you can reach out to me directly on social media and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. But Chuck, thanks so much for coming by today. And
no problem, man.
We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right. Bye.